All right, so many of us, especially the young, would dream to be a boss one day. Well, not me because I'm old already. Nah, just kidding. I'm still young. So, anyways, there may be perception that boss are the type of people who earn the big bucks. They maybe don't do much, can goyang kaki ka, or do whatever he likes. Whenever he wants. But is that necessarily true? So today we're going to find out more about this as we have an awesome guest, Charles Liew, founder of Shine's Pharmacy, here with us
Hello.
today. Welcome to the show, Charles. I've read about you practicing law back in Australia many years ago, and you left to come back here in Sarawak. What made you take this leap of faith to come back here and start a pharmacy instead of a law firm?
First and foremost, thanks for having me. And I love this entire series. And I think Ryan is doing a fantastic job. And it is a privilege for me to actually be here and to be sharing my story. And so this question gets asked a lot, especially when they see my name cards and they say, oh, okay, I've worked as a lawyer before. And so I think this is hugely relevant in a time when everyone has gone to university, and that piece of paper always defines who we are, right? That piece of paper always defines what we do in life, 95% of the time. And so I can't say I thought I wanted to be a lawyer, because I've always wanted to be a lawyer. I've always been a public speaker in school. I've always been part of debates and things like that. So I was naturally drawn to law. Long story short, I worked really hard as a lawyer. I finished 6 years in Perth, and I went to Sydney to work. And so the progression of my journey, I think, is very important, is because that gives you a context of how I came back. In 4 years' time, I was jumping from firm to firm. I was going from like a one lawyer and then plus Charles, kind of really small firm. And then I went to an 8-lawyer suburban law firm ran by this fantastic guy called Mr. Gajic from Serbia. And so I worked with him for 1.5 years. And then I took the leap to work for the biggest law firm in Sydney called Kedis. And so after that, I worked for my dream firm that, but when I was in university, I would always want to get into this firm because they are big and I love what they do. They do personal injury law, and I really want to get into personal injury. And so I would fill in forms, and then in the form it says, "Are you an Australian PR or citizen?" And I wasn't, and so I couldn't get in. And after I joined Katie's, I was able to subsequently join this other big firm called Slater & Gordon, which is the biggest plaintiff law firm in Australia. So that's my story. Wow. And so from my parents' perspective, right, and from a typical Asian family background that have spent all of their life savings, including EPF withdrawals, to make sure that I finish my studies. Along the way, fighting financial problems, having to borrow money from my uncle and things like that. After I've joined that firm, my parents would have thought our son has finally made it. He's gonna have a very good life in Australia. Our family will no longer struggle. Money will be sent back. Also, he's going to have a good family there and things like that, and it's going to be fantastic. And boom, I came back without even asking them. Like that moment when it happened, that I came back without announcement, was the start of me being a rebel in their eye. And so I came back here because I've always loved marketing, branding, psychological stuff. And I still remember vividly, second year university, something shifted in my head because financial problems started to take place within my family because they needed to fund my studies. And so I started to question things like, why? Because you see, people who send their kids to Australia, right, typically they live very comfortable life. Like in my group, there are sons of Tan Sris and Datoks and everything, and they buy cars, they go out, they have fun. And so I was doing online business in Australia. I only clubbed twice in 4 years in Australia as well. In 4 years of university as well. So I don't really have fun. I just work online doing my stuff. And so that financial hardship made me question why are things the way they are? Why do some families make more and some families make less? And you making less now, why would that have an impact on your offsprings, on your children as well? And so I was asking these kind of difficult questions. And so I went on a hunt, literally. The first interview I listened to changed my life. Anthony Robbins interviewing Jay Abraham. And Jay Abraham, I just, I found out later on that he's the #1 in the world when it comes to marketing. And so I will listen to this same interview to sleep at night. 3 o'clock in the morning, I will wake up and listen to their voices. Like, that's how obsessive I was second year of uni. And I will attend courses and all of that. And that just spiraled into something crazy. It changed my mind as to how money works, how businesses work, how working a 9 to 5 works, and it changed my perception of a lot of these things. And I think in every family, it would take someone like that to break through, to acknowledge that, hey, if you want something more, if you don't like your situation now and you don't want your children to go through the same, that you need to do something. And so that actually prompted me to come home as well. There are a lot of other factors. My siblings are all in Singapore. My parents are alone here. There was another thing that stayed very close to my heart was I was working in Sydney. I thought I was happy. But then one of my friends went to Australia. Her name is Wendy. Hi, Wendy. She went to Sydney to do her medical practical in a hospital in Penrith. And so when she was in Sydney, I was so happy. I would bring her out and I would bring her to have the best ice cream, and we'll just go around Sydney, and I was just being Charles. She wasn't my girlfriend. Like, there was it's nothing like that at all. Just a friend. And in fact, when I was in Kuching and when she was in Kuching, we weren't even that close. So when she left after 1 month, I went home and I felt this deep sense of emptiness. And I cried. I asked myself, why is that? Why am I why? Tears just flowed. And I realized I needed to go back to being just partially me. Like, I can't be this version of me when I go to work. And life in Sydney was mostly about work. This is me being very close to 100% me. And I just realized I can't do that anymore. The money was great. Working in a big law firm was prestigious, but I can't do that anymore. And that was also one of the factors, right? So I came home because Sarawak is home. My parents are here. I wanted to pursue marketing, branding, psychological stuff, knowing at all times that there is a fallback as well, because of my 4 years experience working for different firms in Australia, that I know that if things fail, that I always have a fallback. Thank God, 8.5 years on, I'm still here. So yeah, that's a very long-winded version of a very complicated story lah.
No worries. It's so interesting to see that, you did your own soul searching, even starting at the second year in university already, to identify what's actually happening and how you want to improve it. And I'm very sure Sarakians are very happy that, wow, it's so inspiring. It's so great to see Anak Sarawak coming back here to do something. No worries. There's a lot of things that through this conversation that I see in you. You really go through that step by step, knowing, facing all the challenges and learning how to overcome it so that you can become what you are today. So, I think being a boss is not really for you, it's not maybe it's not a choice even for you, because you know that you need to be one when you build this enterprise so that you can lead the people. Yeah. So now my question is it a good idea not to go through this hardship first before going through? Just do it, that kind of thing?
You see, here's the thing. You need a reason to do it. There's in my mind, being in business is so, I don't want to swear, but so effing tough that very few will understand, and even fewer would survive. And I think I shared with Ryan before the statistics of out of 10 businesses, statistically 9 businesses would actually disappear in 10 years, and only 1 would survive. And so you need that reason for you to be in business. So that reason will give you the hunger and the thirst. Now think about it this way. You haven't eaten for a week, okay? You would go hunt for food. That hunger would drive you to every possible corner to look for food. And I love this is because this is exactly the hunger and the thirst that I talk about. So this hunger and thirst, right? You don't need my story, like my Australian story, to give you that thirst and hunger. Everyone would have a reason they get into business. Whatever reason it is, it doesn't matter what reason. That reason only needs to give you the hunger and the thirst to persist through the darkest times, to persist through the disapprovals in life, the obstacles that pop up every single day.
I got another question that I'm wondering. I'm not sure being a boss is just all about hard work. Do you give yourself some time to, rest, to chill, is it important for having this sort of break in between?
When people say, I want work-life balance, that means your work is not your life because you want work-life balance. So work is not your life. If work is not your life, your brain stops after you leave work. So your brain stops. Your brain will not formulate ideas at 11 o'clock in the shower. Your brain you won't even dream about your business in your dreams because it is something that you want to avoid. And like for me, it's just life. People see that I go out in my short pants and my slippers and everything, and they say, "Oh, 好像没有 stress 这样." Like that's just me. And it's because this is just what I do. So I see my work as what I do. And so problems that arise, we just solve. Simple as that. Any obstacles, any problems, they all come to me. Okay, this one you do, this one you do that, this one you do. Like to me, this is just like this side of eternity before I die. There are two eternities. Like this side of eternity, when I'm alive, this is what I'm meant to be doing. And so this is life for me. Like I don't separate them. Like if you need to take a break from what you are supposed to do in this life, then in my view, something is lacking. 比较输一点.
All right. Okay. After this, I'll be asking Charles more interesting questions. We'll be right back after the break. All right, and we're back here with Charles, our expert of the day, to talk about I want to be my boss. I noticed most of your employees are ladies. Are you using Jack Ma's secret of success as he advises people to hire as many women as possible because women care for people more than men? What do you think?
The reason we have a lot of female staff is extremely simple. We started out not being that way. We started out having male and female employees. But as things evolve, our identity becomes clearer. And so to me, you see, when Jack Ma says hire females more than males because they are more compassionate or whatever, I don't believe in that. Because if we believe compassion comes inborn, that means that people who don't have it, then they just cannot be in service line because they don't have the compassion. And only females should be in customer service and not males. And I think in this day and age, that cannot hold true. Compassion is a soft skill that anyone can pick up, right? So it is not like when we hire females, it is not about that. We love the energy and the branding that it gives Shine.
Wow. I look through the pictures of your Facebook, of your Shine Pharmacy page. Your teams are always so happy and excited. This team of adventurers of yours. How do you find them? What were you looking for every time you want to hire someone new? What were you looking in them before you start to say, you decided to hire them?
You would need to not take yourself too seriously. I always say this. If you take yourself too seriously, you seriously cannot work at Shine. High level of professionalism is extremely important, but it needs to be mixed with chilledness. You got to be chilled. You got to be cool. You got to be chilled. Okay? So this combination is extremely hard for a lot of people. It's because you can't be wearing short pants and be very professional at the same time. Like some people cannot get this synergy. And I understand that. Then you are not suitable here.
So, maybe being an owner, maybe being an owner makes a lot of money and you barely need to move your finger. What's your take on this? Is it true? Wow. Wow. Okay, nice. I want to be an owner. That's my dream.
Okay, so I told my staff that I'm gonna answer is true for this, and then we just move on and just leave a bit of sarcastic note there. But okay, so the true answer is this, right? First and foremost, let's go back to the statistics. Okay, 9 out of 10 businesses will fail. When you fail in a business, right, you are left with a financial dent that may take you decades to recover, especially if you have thrown things in over the course of that 8 or 9 years before you fail. You would have lost millions. And not only that, you have lost your time and you have lost your energy and you have lost your youth and you have lost a lot of these kind of things, right? So being an owner makes a lot of money. That notion is completely false, because being an owner can mean you make noodles at night by the roadside to make that extra income. So being an owner is such an obscure thing, and so definition definitely needs to take place here, and the other thing is you really need to move a finger. Again, it can be true if you have been in business for 20 years and you have appointed C-suite professional, CEO, CFO, COO, CMO, chief marketing officers, and you have everyone in charge of every single thing, and you are just not part of the organization, but at the same time being an owner. And so that could be possible. But every other time, the owner works harder than you. Why do I say the owner works 10 times harder? I'll give you one example. If you're the owner of an organization and you have 20 employees and they have their own things to do, their own tasks to execute, whenever they face a problem, right, they will come to you. So you only get the toughest problems will come to you for you to decide. Times 20 times in a day from different people. To me, being an owner, I don't think it's hard, but people look at me and say, why do you work so hard? This is not work, this is life. And I enjoy this interaction with you. I enjoy looking after my girls and taking good care of them. If you really are just after money, just prudently invest in real estate, prudently get into investment stuff, that's it. You'll make money. I've done those things. I've made way quicker money than in pharmacy. So if we're after making money, we wouldn't be doing this, right? So money is not a factor here. I've always contrasted making money and making meaning, and you cannot mix the two. And at Shine Pharmacy, we make meaning. The truth with making meaning is that if you try to make meaning, you will always make meaning. If you try to make money, you may not make money. But if you make meaning, you'll always make meaning. Making meaning means that you have added value to people's lives. Once you have created value in people's lives without them giving anything to you, they trust you. And when they trust you, they come to you. And if they come to you, maybe you'll make money. But sometimes we send you off and say, maybe you drink more water, you don't have to buy anything. And then we send you off without buying anything. Because again, we're making meaning. We're not trying to make money. Just by doing things in this manner, just like this series here on TVS, right? You're adding value to people's lives. And so that gives you credibility, being a great interviewer as well, not interjecting, not cutting in and talking over the guest or whatever. I think that's an acquired skill that people may not appreciate, but I appreciate it because I do interviews as well. All of these things are a skill, and it's like you're not trying to make money here, right? So you're trying to make meaning, and when you try to make meaning, you always make meaning. And I feel like this is what we do, this question, being an owner, again, define what owner is. Makes a lot of money. Define that. What does make a lot of money mean? Should we contrast it with make a lot of meaning? And you barely need to move your finger. True, maybe, because sometimes you're sitting down. So jokes aside, I don't think this notion is correct.
Okay, because I can understand from your perspective that you every day finding solutions, putting the food on the table for your employees, not just you first. It's about your people.
Absolutely.
Before it goes to you, and then when it comes to not really saying barely moving your finger, but after the first 5 to 10 years will be the difficult, toughest moment for you, but after 20 years, the fruit. You get to enjoy the fruits of your labor. You get to have more resources to hire people who are more smarter or who has the energy. Because time passed, we can't be youthful all the while, right? After when I reach my 50s and 60s, I doubt my energy will be as good as I am today, lah.
Yeah.
So you you get to hire people. You get to hire people who are very young and energetic, very hungry, but with the experience that you have accumulated, you'll be able to advise them and have a good
Correct.
discussion with them before you find the solution to the problem. All right, so
Correct.
let's go for a short breakfast before we wrap this discussion today. Stay tuned,
Sweet.
don't go away. All right, we're back here with me, Ryan, your host for Bujang and Broke. Last question of the day, Charles. So,
Yes.
what will be your advice to the audiences who wish to quit their job, or even those who wish to start their business right away as a boss one day?
Here's the thing about quitting your job and being a boss. Okay, it takes not you quitting your job for you to be a boss today. That's the first thing. Second thing is, being a boss does not mean owning a business. You have to understand that. Being a boss can mean being a boss of your own life. Being a boss is a decision that you can make right now. Okay? Being a boss means that right now, Ryan Liew is Ryan Liew Incorporated, INC. Ryan Liew is a company now. Ryan Liew is providing his service to TVS. Being a boss means that you will see yourself as a company. And so what does a company needs to do? A company needs to add value to the company. I'll give you one example. When I was working as a lawyer in Australia, big firm, so there are people doing the specific tasks. I offered to take out the trash with the garbage lady. And my colleagues were like, why are you doing that? Are you crazy? Let's go have a beer. I mean, it's 5 o'clock. I went anyways. And I saw how difficult the job was, that she would need to walk around the building to get to the trash and things like that. And with me doing it, she cut half the time needed to actually take out all of the trash around the building. So now I know, because once I know, I cannot unknow. I've also seen how they put the data of a law firm in a separate room and just putting in the data and things like that, saving the data of the day into the thing. No lawyers would actually know this is because this is done by the admin. Again, I went with the admin into that room, I look at the entire thing, and now I have it. I can't unhave it because I've already seen it. And so being a boss means you make that decision today that you want to be a boss, because being a boss doesn't have to come with a risk as well. People think you have to come with risk. Is because they're entrepreneurs and they're intrapreneurs. Intrapreneurs are entrepreneurs within an organization that is relatively sheltered from risk, in the sense that you are still able to make change. There are many, many ways for you to showcase your value. And if you show your value, you will always get returns. Your boss could promote you. Your boss could pay you more. The boss would trust you with more. Being trusted with more means that you're exposed to even more. Being a boss is a decision. You don't have to quit your job to do it. Take charge and decide now. I've always said, the value that you have added to yourself, you will never lose it. So if Ryan Liew one day is worth 30,000, right, and then you go to an interview and you say, I want 30,000, and they say no, you can confidently walk out and create that value in a month. You will create that value and make for yourself 30,000 because that's your value. You will never lose that value. Using this mindset, I think you will really enjoy your life, because everything is about adding value to yourself.
Awesome. Thank you, Charles, for all the inputs that you have given us today. There's a lot of golden nuggets that we have today, but due to the time constraint, we'll see you in the next episode to talk about turning your hobby into your dream job. So, all this especially brought to you by TVS. I'm Ryan, your host from Bujang and Broke. See you.